Buzzsprout adds dynamic midrolls, the latest from our free daily newsletter at podnews.net. Buzzsprout has added automated midrolls to their dynamic audio insertion tool. The tool automatically works out excellent placements for midrolls in episodes, allowing you to add or remove sponsor credits as well as other time-sensitive messages. Acast is using its Acast Plus one-time payment tool to produce an exclusive podcast mixtape with proceeds going directly to 2 mental health and mindfulness charities. Exclusive content has been produced by UK and Irish podcasters for the Mindful Mixtape. And from Acast, Lizzie Pollett is interviewed in the Podcast Business Journal newsletter later today. You can subscribe at podcastbusinessjournal.com. In a new study, hit play boomer, Edison Research and NPR have revealed that podcast listening among those aged over 55, so-called boomers, has not grown in recent years. There is, however, a lot of opportunity in this age group, said the president of Edison Research, Larry Boomer Rosin, sharing opportunities to reach the audience. Luminary has reportedly cut some shows and even reduced staff salaries, according to Ashley Carman. The hunt is on to find the UK's next big podcaster, and £5,000 of podcast services are up for grabs. If you've got a great idea, Turn Up has been launched by Earworm, a podcast agency in the UK, looking for a one-of-a-kind podcast concept to develop into a chart-topping series. Farrago 2 has been launched by Rogue Amoeba. The tool is a soundboard for the Mac. Joe Rogan thinks things will get real slippery after a fake AI-generated podcast appeared featuring his voice. Again. And there's goals in the hills of audio fiction, claims Jordan Peterson, the founder and CEO of Voltage Productions, in a blog that we link to today from our show notes and our newsletter. And if you'd like to support Pod News in a really easy way, get our podcasts ad-free on Apple Podcasts. Just visit apple.co/podnews. In People News, Christine Lewis has joined NHPR as its new Vice President of Development. One of NHPR's biggest podcasts is true crime show Bear Brook. And in podcast news, The Capsule in Conversation is on top of the world after being selected as an in-flight podcast for British Airways. The press release contains previously elusive information, the name of the company that supplies that media to many of the world's leading airlines. As Podcast Business Journal publishes its first weekly edition today, you might enjoy the Podcast Business Journal Spotlight Archive. It's a list of long-form interviews with the people that matter from podcasting from 2018 to 2022. You can find the Podcast Business Journal Spotlight wherever you find your podcasts. And in the Pod News Weekly Review this week, Sandon Totten from Kids Listen talks us through the latest survey of kids' podcast listening. There's a lot to unpack. Plus, Sam Sethi asks me to explain podcast GUIDs again. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.